Have you ever had one of those seasons where life just keeps piling things onto your plate? Not bad things, not good things, but big things. The kind of things that demand your attention, your energy, your emotions, and sometimes every ounce of strength you have. You wake up in the morning thinking, if I can just make it through today, I'll be okay. And then tomorrow shows up with its own kinds of surprises. Welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new, my name is Mona, and I help highly stressed people return to their true center. Once upon a time last month, life stopped me in my tracks, literally. It was one of the most emotionally intense months I've experienced in a very long time. On one hand, I was nearing the completion of a leadership program that was nearly a year long. My team and I were finishing our final project and preparing for graduation. If you've ever worked on a major project involving lots of people, lots of moving parts, and deadlines, you know what I'm talking about. We weren't procrastinating and we weren't behind. We had been working diligently for almost a year. But sometimes overwhelm isn't caused by poor planning. Sometimes overwhelm is simply the nature of carrying something very important across the finish line. There were meetings, presentations, edits, revisions, phone calls, and all the details needed to make this happen. Thankfully, we completed our mission, and graduation went very well. And to my surprise, I received one of the 3 awards voted on by my classmates, and that touched my heart more than I can express. After a year of hard work, it felt incredibly meaningful. But while all of that was happening, another chapter of my life was unfolding. My younger sister passed away. I've lost both of my parents, and I was very close to them. But losing my sister has been extremely different. We had been estranged for 6 years. Life happened, and the realities of adulthood happened as well. And although distance had grown between us, my love for her never disappeared. I wasn't angry with her, and I wasn't disappointed in her. What I grieve the most is the loss of our relationship. Near the end of last year, I heard that she had been ill. Then I also heard that she seemed to be improving. People in her life said she was looking better than she'd looked in a very long time. And that gave me hope. Then out of nowhere, I received a message saying that she had entered hospice care. At first, I wasn't planning to go see her. I wanted to respect what I believed were her wishes. But about a week and a half before she passed, something happened that I still struggle to explain. I heard what I felt was a divine whisper, not in my ears, but in my heart. The message was simple. It said, "Go get your brother and go see your sister." It was so clear and profound, I had to listen. So I drove to pick up my brother, and he lives about 5.5 hours from my house. And my sister was another 2 hours away from him. It was a very long day. Honestly, I wasn't even sure she would want to see me, but I knew I needed to try. When we arrived, she was heavily sedated and unable to speak. My brother and I sat with her for a couple of hours. Then we prepared to leave. I leaned over and I hugged her and I kissed her, and I whispered in her ear, "I love you." And to my surprise, she opened her eyes. Her eyes were filled with tears, and she whispered back, "I love you too." And she tried to say more, but she just couldn't. So we stayed with her until she fell asleep again. A week later, she passed away. And I honestly don't know how to adequately describe what happened inside of me afterward. I was emotionally exhausted. I would fall asleep during the day at odd times. Then I would sleep all night long. The grief was heavy. My body was heavy. At the same time, my graduation project still needed to be completed. My brain seemed to exist in 2 different worlds. One was loss, and the other was responsibility. There were nights when I'd climb into bed hoping to sleep, only to have the presentation slides come up into my mind, and I would have to go downstairs, open up my computer, and work for 2 or 3 hours until I was tired. My life consumed me with these things, and saying goodbye to my sister was so overwhelming. And crossing that finish line for that leadership program was another big thing. I missed emails, I missed text, I missed deadlines. That's why I haven't done videos. And it's not because I didn't care. I simply didn't have anything left to give. And here's what I've learned. When we're grieving, our brains are working incredibly hard. Neuroscience tells us that grief isn't simply an emotion. It's a full brain experience. Your mind is constantly trying to reconcile painful new realities, and the person you loved in your existence no longer is there. That takes enormous emotional energy, and no wonder so many grieving people feel exhausted. And no wonder concentration becomes very difficult, and everyday tasks suddenly feel overwhelming. During this season, I practice what I call sacred self-care. I slept when my body asked me to sleep. I practiced breath work. I did meditation. I exercised when I could, and I hydrated my body. I tried to eat nutritious foods. I allowed myself limited isolation while I was staying connected to people who loved me. And most importantly, I gave myself permission to not be okay. I graduated from my program 2 weeks to the day after my sister passed. Today, I have peace, not because everything is resolved, and not because grief has disappeared, but because I received something many people never get, and that's closure. I got to tell my sister that I loved her, and I got to hear her say it back to me. That gift will stay with me forever. So the moral of this story is, when life's overwhelming, don't expect yourself to carry it perfectly. Carry it honestly. Honor your grief. Honor your limits. Practice sacred self-care. And remember that healing isn't something that you accomplish. It's something that you allow. Life is precious. Relationships are precious. And while we don't always get to choose our circumstances, we do get to choose how we gently care for ourselves while we go through them. If you're carrying loss today, I hope this story reminds you that you are not alone. And I hope you give yourself the same grace that you would offer someone that you love. Until next time, I wish you peace, love, and renewed happiness.